Hi, welcome to Storytime with Angel. Today I'm wearing my Support Gay Centaur Rights t-shirt, and it's a very cute shirt, and I do think that there aren't enough gay centaurs represented in fiction these days. I'm trying to fix that, but it's also symbolic of the fact that when we think about LGBTQ fiction, we usually think of gay and lesbian stories. And there are lots of parts of the rainbow that are really underrepresented in fiction these days. I think we're making some great progress, but there are a lot of lacks of stories about transgender folks and about bisexual folks and asexual folks, and so on. So today we actually have a story from Z. Allura. It's from Dream Spinner Press. That is a story about a transgender woman in Thailand. Now this is a little bit different than being transgender in the United States. In a lot of ways, it's both more accepted and less accepted to be a transgender woman in Thailand. And it's culturally just a little bit different. The Katui, sorry, that's terrible. It's a Thai term that refers to either a transgender woman or a man who prefers the outer representation of traditional women's clothes and makeup. We very often refer to them here in the West as lady boys, and that is the preferred term for a lot of them as well. A lot of them are performers, but obviously they're not all performers. There are things in legislation right now in Thailand that would recognize what they refer to as a third gender. So it's a little bit different than how we look at it here. But I think it's very important to hear all of these stories, and this is this looks like a very sweet story, and it does take place in Thailand. And the interesting thing about it is that Z doesn't just write this off the top of her head. She's actually been to Thailand several times and has actually interviewed performers and people who are considered third gender people. It does still cause a lot of issues, unfortunately, in Thailand. There is still a lot of legal issues and a lot of discrimination, unfortunately. But we do hope that that's starting to get better with more visibility. Anyway, the story itself is called Illusions and Dreams, and I'll read you the blurb here. Randy Kempster failed at being married. His life now centers around work, TV, sports, and listening to his friend Jake complain about how Randy's lack of a sex life will be the downfall of mankind. Not true. Well, not totally. He's just never understood the fascination with sex until ladyboy performer Lalana Dulyarat shimmies into his world via the internet ad for Thailand tourism. Jake O'Neill's open pansexuality yields him interesting bedmates, but he's never chased after the mythical illusion of love. He focuses on others, like his best friend Randy, who needs a Bangkok vacation. Finding an adorable little imp named Boonnam wasn't on the itinerary. Gay, straight, and undecided, Jake has had 'em all, but never a virgin aching to take a walk on the kinky side after having her affirmation surgery. Talk about pressure, and what's with everyone warning him not to break her heart? His is the one in danger. All right. So we're going to read a scene between Lalana and Bunam. They actually have lived together for a number of years, but they are friends. And they're in the hotel getting ready for a visit to the Tiger Temple with Randy and Jake. I thought the Tiger Temple scene was great, actually. Bunam is already head over heels for Jake. Lalana is protective of Bunam and trying not to like Randy too much. Bunam has had her affirmation surgery, so that means that she's had the full top and bottom surgery. And the night before this scene, she actually had been using her stents, and that's something that's placed inside the vagina to help it keep its shape after the affirmation surgery. It's for about the first 18 months or so. And then this is the morning after. So this is really just about Lalana and Bunam. All right. So this is from Illusions and Dreams. It's by Zia Laura. It's from Dream Spinner Press. As usual, we'll have all the lovely buy links. And cover below the cover on this one is by Paul Richmond. It's I think it's a particularly nice one. So we'll have that up for you. And here we go. According to the weather report on television, the sun was shining brightly, but the temperature hadn't soared as of yet. It would be a delightful day for the Tiger Temple. Bunam was glad she only had to remove the stent this morning to be done. She had neither the time nor the patience to wait to do the dilation. Cleaning the stent carefully, she couldn't help but smile, thinking about last night. I won't even ask if everything is working for you, Lalana grinned at Bunam. Huh? Bunam applied her eye makeup carefully while standing before the bathroom mirror in frilly pink boy shorts and bra. She loved the mirror now and couldn't help but stare at the reflection she'd always wanted to see looking back at her. This was the real Bunam. Oh, yes. Oh, Jake, Lalana mimicked what she'd obviously heard hours earlier. Bunam opened her mouth and closed her lips in a frown, watching as a deep shade of red colored her face. I believed you were asleep, she grumbled. I was until Jake. Ha! Like anyone could sleep through that, Lalana snickered. Oh, my sweet butterfly, don't look horrified. Bunam tried not to die of embarrassment. She thought she'd been quiet. Lalana came up behind her and gave her a warm hug. Sweetie, I'm pleased everything is in working order now. Bunam's surgery had been difficult. She dealt with a post-op infection which had made the dilations, which she'd needed to do several times daily to maintain the shape of her vagina, very painful. Lalana had held her more than once as she sobbed about her non-working, painful, and mostly numb parts. She'd been terrified that after doing all this, she'd be in the small group of people who never experienced the pleasure of orgasm once they had surgery. But over time, the numbness and pain dissipated, and Boone's excitement and arousal had returned little by little. Bunam rolled her eyes. The doctor said my body would heal. I guess I needed time. It had taken longer than she'd hoped to relearn how to orgasm, but now everything appeared to be in working order. Since meeting Jake, her libido had soared off the charts. Boone, I know what the doctor said. I was scared. Even he warned you not everyone's surgery is successful, as yours is now. Lalana chuckled. And it sounded like you were successful last night. The word successful had never sounded obscene before to Bunam's ears. Was last night the first time since the surgery that things, worked? No, I've been able to, for about a few weeks, but this time was much better. She felt the blood rush to her cheeks again. Better? Lalana's eyebrows shot up to her hairline. Geez, if it gets any better, we're going to have to call an ambulance for you. Lalana smoothed down Bunam's hair. Honey, a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Knowing my little Bunam can be happy in a physical way. Hush, Lala. Bunam applied her lip gloss, still talking. You know I've heard you too. Lalana turned toward her suitcase, pulling out her chosen outfit to visit the Tiger Temple. I don't know what you're talking about. Her voice had risen to a higher octave than normal. Oh, really? For you, it's more like thwack, thwack, thwack. Ah! Boonnam laughed, taking the upper hand from Lalana. 3 strokes and you spurt. Maybe a grunt thrown in. Boonnam cackled at her best friend's horrified expression. They'd shared a room now for years, and if you weren't deaf, you heard things in the dark, not meant to be heard. What? I heard you go at it in the shower this morning. Lalana sighed with exasperation. Yeah, well, whatever, she groused, trying to use a phrase the American English teacher had taught them for fun. Boone pressed on with a smirk. It must have been dire. Lalana rolled her eyes before pulling on the top she'd been holding. So, Boone, you aren't planning to, you know. What? Dear Buddha, she hoped Lalana wasn't going to talk to her about sex. Any discussions in the past had always ended in awkward silences and embarrassment. You know, give yourself to him. Lalana would have fit perfectly into a Victorian novel. It was only a matter of time before she went into vapors. Is that really any of your business? Tapping a pretty pink nail against her chin, Lalana replied. Yes, I do believe anything involving you is my business. Boonnam sighed and then shot back. You know the answer. Why do you ask? Because you shouldn't. Lalana pulled on her pants. You should wait. Boonnam rolled her eyes. She'd been waiting her entire life. Wait for what? Lalana frowned at her, grasping at straws as she said, You aren't healed yet. The doctor disagrees with you. He said my body is more than ready. On the last visit, he asked if I was seeing anyone. Oh, he checked for himself. I told you he wanted you. Gross. He would never let her explore her naughty side, and she didn't go through all this to ignore her kinkier tastes. Stop. How am I going to face him next visit? Lalana smiled sadly at Boonnam. Oh, baby. She grabbed Boonnam up in a hug, rocking her back and forth. I'm terrified the sparkle will go out of your lovely brown eyes. Boonnam hugged Lalana tightly. I love you, Lala. You always watch out for me. She inhaled deeply of Lalana's flowery perfume mixed with her hair products before stepping away. I try to, but you make my job difficult. She sighed and shook her head. I don't want you to get hurt. And you think Jake is going to hurt me, don't you? He's going to break your heart into 1,000,000 pieces, she huffed. And there isn't a thing I can do about it, is there? Lalana stared at Boone in the mirror and saw deep inside her, just like Lala always did. It's too late for caution, isn't it? Shh, I'll be okay. I'll be fine. Boonnam gathered her thoughts. I need to love him. I can't help how I feel, and even if I could, I don't want to. Sweetie, you're too young. I can see you're setting yourself up for a fall. He's only here for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of love is better than none. Boonnam smiled at Lalana. She wanted to be brave, but a big fat tear rolled down her face, defeating her efforts. Boonnam turned from the mirror to let Lalana hug her. Lalana gently rocked her back and forth, exactly as she used to when Boonnam had been much younger. I just hope you feel the same way when he's gone. Boonnam closed her eyes, trying to block out the stabbing loss that pierced her heart at the notion of not seeing Jake again. But their relationship had an expiration date. She opened her eyes to watch in the mirror as another tear slipped past the rim of her eyelashes and traced down her face. Love wasn't what she had expected at all. Lana wiped the tear. Don't smudge your makeup, Boon Boon. She tightened the hug. It's okay. We'll get through this together. All right. And there you have it. Illusions and Dreams from Zia Laura. That's from Dreamspinner Press. Like I said, this is a really sweet story, and I do recommend it. And it is something a little bit different. If you want to actually learn a little bit about transgender women in Thailand, this is a really good book to start you off. I really think, once again, that we need different voices, different stories. in romance and in LGBTQ